There we go. We're recording.
Ooh.
This is exciting. So, hello. Welcome to this week's UK Drag Race, first of all, where we have Tom back as always, because it's brilliant to hit. And also, you've heard me talk about him a lot, and we thought finally we should actually get him on camera. So here's Matt as well.
You seem to be possibly frozen.
Possibly frozen? I don't know. Have we still got Matt? Is he there?
We've got Matt in increments at the moment. Oh no, it looks like we're back.
No, he's moving again. He's moving again. Earth to Matt, can you hear us? We're getting no sound from you. It's going well. Well, let's crack on and let's just see what we get. Also, an experiment this end is I'm doing this with my phone for the first time rather than the laptop because the microphone's better and you won't lose half of what he says.
Mixed blessing.
Yeah, completely. This week's UK obviously starts with essentially a 7-month gap. And then there was the extra program, of course, about the Queens in lockdown, which I found interesting because I thought you'd see a lot more of Lawrence in that program, and he was largely absent in it.
What, the
Queens in lockdown? Have you guys seen that? I
haven't. I can't find it anywhere.
It only appeared on Friday on the BBC Three iPlayer.
Oh right, okay.
It's worth a watch. It's not groundbreaking. There's nothing earth-shattering in it. It appears that Veronica Green really suffered mental health-wise in lockdown.
And not Vanessa, as I was calling her for the past 3 episodes.
I think Vanessa works. Also, her boyfriend's kind of cute. So, and that was a thing. So then we had... Now, I cannot remember the life of what the task was this week. All I've written notes on is the runway. So what were the tasks? Can you remember?
It was, well, the library was open.
The library was open.
No,
I think that was the US one. You're getting muddled. Yeah. Okay.
It was RuRuVision.
RuRuVision, of course.
Yeah.
The UK Kingdom Ding Dong Dolls, or whatever they're called.
I remember that, given what a Eurovision queen you are.
I'm not that. Okay. So here's the deal with me and Eurovision: is I love it on the night. The following morning, I've already forgotten who they all are. So that's that.
Good.
Matt,
good. He's still frozen, I think.
I think he might be completely frozen.
Yeah.
Or he's probably just not moving.
At this point, I think we're talking without him, to be honest.
We've brought Matt on as our audience, basically.
Yeah, largely. I'm sure at some point he'll either just drop out and come back in, or it'll all kick off. So if we kind of... Yeah, that's not happening, is it? There's nothing happening there at all.
He's gone.
He's vanished. He hopefully will appear. See, I now haven't got the option to swipe that way to bring us and Tom equal. So I don't know if it's recording it equally and just not display. Look, honestly, whatever. It'll be what it'll be. So, Tom, RuRuVision.
Yes. I haven't been able to get the song out of my head for the last 2 days. And I've just been sitting there like, bing, bang, boom, sing, song.
Do we think they should genuinely put it forward as our Eurovision entry this year?
Well, I've got a little sneaky like suspicion. I keep update hot flash. I keep up with the spoilers and stuff on Eurovision. I'm kind of like a bit, but apparently for the UK this year, we have a group of 3 that have been on a reality show. And the tip is that they could possibly be the Frock Destroyers. I
think that would be amazing, and I think it would be a real test. Yeah. I'd read a similar rumor. It wasn't quite worded the same, but it basically pointed to the Frock Destroyers. And I think that'll be a real test of the truth of the voting for Eurovision, because let's face it. If you've got 3 immensely popular queens from a global phenomena of a TV show, especially within the enormous crossover of the Eurovision community, if we don't score highly or win, it just goes to show that we could, doesn't matter what we put in, we could stand on stage for the 3 minutes and not even open our mouths, or we could go in with the best song ever in the history of ever, and it just doesn't matter. So I think they should put the Frock Destroyers in, because I think it'll be a real test of just how much Eurovision is a song contest or a political statement.
Yeah. I agree.
I literally have no horse in this race. Me and Eurovision is just like...
I couldn't even get him to watch the thing on Netflix with Will Ferrell in.
No, I did watch that.
You watched half of it.
I watched all of it. I just didn't laugh at most of it.
I thought it was funny. I like the elves. So yes, so I thought there was. I mean, it was very clearly. I mean, the winning group and losing group. I think it was miles apart and obvious.
Oh, was it ever?
Oh, if we lost Tom as well, Tom's turned into a little person, as in, well, not a little person, but a little icon.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
You turned into like a little icon thing. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
you are an icon, Tom, but different sort of icon.
I'm a bit bigger in real life, you know.
Just a little. I can see having a WhatsApp from Matt saying he just wasn't working his end. So we'll have to try again with Matt another time. Perhaps he'll come on for USA review later on or something. Yes. I don't really have an awful lot to say about the challenge.
What, the song challenge?
Yeah,
it was.
like I said, it was a clear winner, a clear loser, and that was just it, really. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, same, really.
Yeah. So let's get on to these runways. Now, as per my new way of doing things, so I don't just go when I try to talk about it, I made my notes,
Which he then can't remember, and then looks at rubbish going, why did I write that
down? What does that mean? Actually, I've looked at all of these, and they do all mean something to me. So I think that's okay. I think we might be all right there. So Bimini, I've written parasol.
I can't remember Bimini.
Huh?
I can't remember what she did.
I remember the parasol, but that's pretty much all I remember. I remember quite liking it.
Yeah, I remember liking it a lot. What was it? It was what was the?
It was Seaside.
Seaside, wasn't it? Yeah. I was going to say beads, and realised that's the other one again.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's all blurring into one. Yes, I remember really having a parasol. I remember thinking it was very sort of quite elegant,
Quite Victorian bathing.
Yeah.
I can't remember,
but I can't remember the detail.
Bathing suit.
No,
because obviously Bimini is all about the body, oddy.
Yeah. Interestingly, while we're on Bimini, I thought Bimini came off very, very well in the Queens in Lockdown.
Yeah.
And oh my god, I mean, Bimini bought a chair basically, Tom, and learned to do like headstands and things with it
And splits.
Outstanding. I mean, phenomenal. I was thinking, what did I do in lockdown? Sat exactly where I am, ate my weight in chocolate, and made my way through all of Disney Plus.
Same.
I think Bimini won this.
I worked through lockdown.
Well, you know, the job I have now, I would work through a lockdown, but I had no job then. I'd been made redundant, which was my choice, which is fine. Tace, knitted net thing. I can remember this because I first off didn't get it.
I literally can't remember it.
It was like a knitted dress. Is the only way I can describe it, because it was almost waffle. So like squares. Like this isn't coming off well at all. She was doing
I'm gonna have to search for these for the runway, because of these I can't even remember.
It was like a net to look at. So imagine like a full-on like frock that went all the way down, and she had like starfish and things caught on it.
All I will say is that if our resident drag performer par excellence can't remember the outfits,
probably wasn't that great.
That tells you a lot about the quality of the outfits at that point.
But then,
I do remember like a couple of them, but it's because I really liked them, not because they were just on stage.
Yeah. Tace, I think, was another one who came off very well in the Queens and Lockdown.
Yes,
because it was a lot of screen time for Taste and Horror, because obviously they moved in together. Yeah. Well, not moved in together, but house share.
Well, they seem to keep dancing around that whole moving in together.
Yeah, well, they aren't they? Yeah, they're like the moonlighting company. Oh, God,
let's be fair though. It's pretty obvious that they are together at this point.
Yeah.
It's
I think, yeah. And I think I've got this theory that Taste actually does do reasonably well, only because Taste came back with freshly dyed pink hair, and in a lot of her talking head interviews, she's got about an inch growth of black hair. So obviously that happened far enough down the line. But then you've got people. I'm not sure if the interviews worked how I thought they worked now, because I thought they filmed them more or less straight after their eviction, and now I'm not as convinced they don't just get everyone back at the very, very end to do the interviews. Oh,
Actually. Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Is that better?
Yeah, I've had to go on my phone because the yeah.
Can I just say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our early experiences of doing this stuff on the phone. Where you're looking at the floor.
There we go.
Hey!
Yeah, the computer wouldn't work, so I thought I'll try it on my phone. I've had to download Zoom onto my phone and then plug my phone into my computer so I can charge it, because it's going absolutely fantastic so far.
Have we got the matching range of t-shirts on?
Might have.
I've got the Gemini one. Is yours the like star sign?
No, mine's just like James Bond as a bear.
Oh, right, okay. Hello.
I need to invest in some of these t-shirts, I think.
Well,
I probably should put my logo one on.
Yeah. Swish Embassy is where I get mine from.
Oh, this is Bobo bear art from off of Redbubble or something like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
I have started designing my own.
Have you? Awesome.
But they're not like cartoon. They're actually like realism, but body positive. So there's a lot of bears, a lot of otters, a lot of
okay.
gay bodies.
So those. We'll plug those in a future review. Obviously, we don't take any money from Swish Embassy or Redbubble or Bobo Otter or whatever. I can't remember.
Bear Art, I think his name is.
Bear Art.
Yeah.
If they want to send us freebies, you crack on, kids. But actually, that's not an arrangement. So
not sponsored.
Not sponsored. We're not sponsored. I don't even fucking edit. I just record this shit and chuck it straight on the internet. I'm not one of those sort of YouTubers. Click like, subscribe, fuck off. Right, Matt, just to bring you up to speed, because we weren't sure we were going to get you back. We very briefly touched on the RuRu challenge once everyone reminded me what it was, because I couldn't remember. We've talked on about the fact that we think the Frock Destroyers should represent us in Eurovision, which is strongly hinted as a rumour, because it will be a true tale of whether or not Eurovision is about the song or politics.
Frock Destroyers is in Bag of Chips and Davina Campbell from last year.
That's right, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of like Eurovision themselves, or Song for Europe, or whoever does it for us, have put out this thing that strongly hints that it's the Frock Destroyers, or they could be just completely leading us up the garden path, get us really excited, and it'll be Bananarama, which is great, and I love Bananarama for Bananarama, not for Eurovision. Actually, there's only two of them now anyway, so that can't work. Anyway. So then we've started on the runway. So we've gone Bimini. We know she had a parasol. That's all we can remember.
I actually have the looks now, so I'm good.
Well, Tom's got them. Have we got any more to say about Bimini? Matt, you haven't had a say on Bimini. Feel free to chuck your 2 pence in.
I'm growing to love Bimini week on week, but I can't remember what she wore.
Funny enough,
was it blue? Was it blue?
It was a parasol thing,
right?
It's literally all we can remember. But you saying that just then, because obviously one of the things we were talking about.
I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
It was blue.
Yes.
Yes. Not the blue dress I was thinking of. I was thinking the other week.
Were you thinking of that like netted?
Yes.
Really glamorous. Yeah. I love them.
Yeah, but we were actually because we've not really talked about the Queen's Lockdown, because obviously Tom hasn't seen it yet. So it's a bit like with the thing on injection. But one of the things that did come out of it is, again, in the same way that we really turned our sort of opinion around on Bimini when she had the conversation about identifying as non-binary with Ginny. and yeah, we've just grown to love her ever since then. We've gone very dark again. It's the TV because it's Hazel O'Connor being all moody and.
I can change channel and get a lighter video. It'll be fine. Carry on.
But again, Bimini's another one that comes across absolutely brilliantly in Queens in Lockdown. And my God, the thing she taught herself in Queens in Lockdown, doing the whole like chair splits thing. But she is just an absolute joy, I think, to watch on the screen. I've got a lot of sort of love for Bimini, and I'm genuinely curious to see how far she goes in this competition, because I think there's a lot that Bimini brings that quite a few of the other queens aren't at the moment.
Yeah, I think she was possibly made their group performance more than the others because just of her accent, and like at the end when she's doing somebody do a death drop and how I said bring out your accent, and she just played into herself, and that I think kind of helped was it UK Dolls, what they called?
I can't remember which group it was. It was UK Dolls and UK.
Because it was UKD was the winning group, so that would be the United Kingdom Dolls,
right?
Also, no, the United King Dolls is what.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah,
yeah. I think it was Bimini being told by was it M&X to bring her own accent and personality into it. I think that, along with maybe them just being better, kind of helped them get the win over the other team.
What I will say though is, who was the person who recorded it and told them what to do and everything? Yeah,
M&X,
something like that. But
that
he deserves.
One that worked with Little Mix.
Yeah, he deserves so much more credit because the way that they sounded before they actually went to the main stage, compared to the main stage, I was like, "There's a massive difference here. What's gone on?" So I think
we
say
this every week. We sit here and because they kind of play it out. It's weird. They start each episode and they refer to each episode as this week and last week. But then as they talk about what they're doing, they make it sound like they essentially film an episode in about two or 3 days. So I think they do the whole this week, last week for our benefit because that's how we're watching them. But then we'll watch something and we'll go, they did not learn all that extra choreography we've just seen on the main stage that wasn't in the main body of the episode in the remaining hour they claim they had. Bullshit.
Well, the thing is, we know for a fact that's not the case because when, I'm not sure if it was one of the main seasons or All Stars when Katya was on it. It might have been All Stars because it's where she got right through to the very end. But again,
sorry, I just remember Katya in the turkey.
Yeah. But obviously they had the musical number where it was like her Detox, Roxy.
Raw too.
Roxy and
but there was a show that she did, I think a few months later, basically where she talked like she does a reminiscence. She talks about that and basically came clean and said, "Yeah, we literally had about 3 or 4 days of actual rehearsal for that whole musical number." So yeah, it's absolutely. They may present it on the telly as we're doing it today because we're going to be performing tomorrow. Bullshit. They probably literally. Well, we know from the lockdown one that they get the look ahead as right. These are the kind of challenges you got coming up throughout the season because they had. They were all making a thing about how they basically had 7 months to prepare for certain, which was why one of the things that we're going to be talking about is going to be interesting.
We'll come to her.
A horror. But they like to make out like it's like some big high pressure environment, but they do get a lot longer to prep than is actually portrayed on the television.
I was thinking about it last night because I was like, there's no way that they would have made that song in a day because my partner's a musician. I know how long he spends mixing one track or like one bit of a song that he's recording, but I know it takes him about a week just to do the song. So imagine 2 songs and they're awful at singing. There's got to be more days around.
There's a day of auto-tune. It's like
yeah. Yeah.
So, Matt, to bring you back up to more or less where you came in, we were just talking about taste, and I've written again my wonderful notes that are useless, really. Even though I'm keen to see your reaction when I get to Ellie Diamond, but we'll get there. Paul knows.
I do now.
For taste, I wrote knitted net thing, and I can picture it in my head, and the only way I can describe it is like a knitted waffle dress.
Yeah, she had like fish or stuff stuck on it as well.
Yeah,
Was there a
starfish.
fish on the head or something.
Oh, I know what it is now. Yes,
It was like they dragged it off the bottom of a fishing boat.
Yeah.
It looks like Britney Spears with the Diamante bodysuit, but with shells instead, with a net cardigan.
Now, see, if you just said that, I'd have known instantly.
Oh well, there we go.
Yeah, I was getting Daryl Hannah and Splash getting dragged out of the water.
Yeah.
You wait Tom Hanks to come running along.
Yeah.
So that brings us nicely to Ahura and Cone of Chips is what I've written down. And
very good.
It was brilliant, and it had design, it had form. I mean, I think it was quite bizarre that I've been watching this the same time I've been doing Masked Singer, because I kept thinking, oh, sausage. Who basically I never once pegged to be Joss Stone, so I lost there. I was convinced Sheridan Smith. But I mean, I thought it's weird. Again, this comes out of the lockdown diaries. I haven't been a fan of Ahura up to this point. I think she kind of went away. It was like, go away for 7 months and think about what you've done. And I think she has, because she seems, I don't know, a bit more grown up, a bit.
I think the impression, and again, it's possibly in much the same way that I've talked about Candy Muse in the US version and how absolutely could not stomach her from the first, like, probably it was a couple of hours before we actually got around to seeing Untucked, I think it was. But then you see her in Untucked, and you kind of see like the rest of the personality, if that makes sense, and came across a lot better. And then kind of, you know, a few episodes down the line, fucked it up completely and kind of went back to being, oh, Jesus Christ, get over yourself, girl. Something similar, I think, has happened with Ahura, is that of the very first few episodes, she does come across as being basically the scheming bitch of the group, and she's out to screw whoever she can to get whatever she wants. And you kind of had a bit, I think, just before they went into lockdown, where obviously she'd got paired with Tia, and they had that little heart-to-heart moment, and you kind of initially got the feeling that yes, clearly Ahura's had to deal with shit, but it still came across as being a bit fake almost, and a bit like, oh, now I've revealed my vulnerability, that fucking V word that I despise from the US version.
Social vulnerability, I just bend over.
Yeah, now we're all meant to like her and think, oh yeah, she's really good, she's been through a lot. But I think what the Queens in Lockdown actually did demonstrate was, because it's changed my opinion on, ironically, on Cherry Valentine as well, who of course is long gone as far as the competition goes. But I think Ahura's, we got to see Ahura being like genuinely vulnerable and genuinely thinking, what the fuck is happening? Because there were a lot of like jokey and not so jokey comments about the world is ending, and I know at various points throughout lockdown one we probably all felt the same way in all of the stuff that we've all been dealing with. But I think it was an interesting moment for Ahura, because I kind of get the impression she probably hasn't had to deal with that kind of shit before. I mean, obviously, yes, technically, none of us have had to deal with that kind of lockdown shit, but that kind of emotional impact is more what I think going for. And I mean, it's early days yet. She could come back next week and be an absolute bitch again. But I think it has kind of forced a certain amount of emotional growth in Ahura. So it will be interesting to see if that does carry on through. But I must admit, going back to the actual outfit, I think the thing I really liked about this, because Ahura's very much been, I think up until now, a body queen. It's all very fashion, a bit Essexy at times, but it's very. This outfit to me was what I love about drag. It's got that kind of sense of fun. It still had like the profile and the contouring and the style element, but it was very much a drag style for me, rather than just a fashion style, if that makes sense. It was moving away from being a body queen to just being a probably a more well-rounded sort of drag outfit.
And Kit, you just said no to it, and you've got a Shakespearean monologue. Off you go. I'm getting punched.
I've got
I could just stop.
I got Aquaria from this.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the mermaid look that she did. I instantly think of that when I look at that runway. She reminds me of it.
High concept, high fashion. I think that's always a good approach to take with a drag race runway. What did you think on it, Matt?
I liked it. I mean, spoilers, but I preferred it much more than the other We'll come to that. Yeah. Well, interestingly, I still thought Ahura in her confessionals was still coming across a bit bitchy. Like there's like maybe in the workroom she was kind of not doing that, but in the confessionals she was still kind of showing her teeth a bit.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it depends. And I had a idea on how they film those that I'm not convinced I'm right about. And I thought it was basically, so let's say, for want of a better term, let's say they film eliminate, runway day on a Thursday, and then they get you back in Friday morning and do all your talking heads. That's how I always thought it happened. Just purely based on, there's been a couple of times where in like an Untucked or something, particularly with the US more, I should say, you see them leave, pack their suitcase up with a particular t-shirt on, which is the one they've been wearing for their confessionals. So I think it's so I always kind of took it well, they've obviously just recorded those, then packed everyone else off home, take her to one side once everyone's gone, that you can come in and now take your time packing up your suitcase. But I may be wrong, purely because after looking at how they filmed some of the lockdown queen stuff and how they brought eliminated queens back, it was clearly part of the same filming session. So I'm now wondering if they film the entire season, kind of rough cut the episodes, play a little bit and go, right, remember that day, talk about that, remember that day, talk about, do you know what I mean? So I now don't really know. So is Ahura just playing into how she was in those earlier days, so she's playing that so that continuity wise it fits in context?
Possibly, because I've always assumed that they've done the rough cut and bring them back at the end and do like a day's filming of each of them and say, okay, we're going to show you the clips and you can talk over it. So I always assumed it was that.
May well
make sense. Which would make sense of how she's playing into the camera. So it'd be interesting to see if her confessionals change as the episodes go on, depending on how long she's in it for.
I don't know if you saw the next time on Drag Race, but in the next episode we see vulnerability from her, and the next time on ends with her crying. So I don't know what that means at this moment.
And have we got? Is it next week's Snatch Game for UK?
Yeah.
One of them was next time Snatch Game.
It is. I fucking hate Snatch Game. Oh.
Ginny Lemon would have done Cilla Black.
Could have done Sue Pollard.
And Sue Pollard. She could have done that, but yeah.
I think she could have had like changes. So every time they came back, she was Sue Pollard, Elton John, Christopher Biggins, and I can see Ginny doing it because Ginny's an absolute legend. And again, seeing Ginny at home, I just thought, I just want to come around and have tea and cake with you. I just want to spend an afternoon with Ginny Lemon just chatting shit because she's glorious, absolutely glorious. Right, so Ahura, lovely. Lawrence. Now I've put Lifesaver the Madonna because Lawrence had. It'll make sense when I explain it.
That's the Madonna.
The Madonna, not a Madonna, mother of our Lord. Wait, no. But basically, well, actually, kind of both. Kind of both, because actually what it reminded me of is the single cover for Like a Prayer was artwork of the Madonna, and it really looked like Lawrence Chaney in this week because it was the whole like the halo thing and that going on. So where Lawrence had got like the I've written down Lifesaver, but I'm aware that's the Americanism. What do we call them over here? Rubber rig.
A dinghy.
Like, he's drowning.
The red and white things that nobody uses.
Yeah. Those things that are around every park lake, those things, right? But it was the whole thing to me. It struck me that he was playing with sort of the imagery, because he walked out and I just thought, yeah, if you strutted down and told me this was an Easter parade, I'd believe you.
I liked it.
I
liked it. Yeah. She's back on the vinyl though, but yeah, not about the vinyl life for big girls. It makes them look like a shiny whale, but no offense. Of course, I'm a big queen, but when they do too much vinyl in different colors, then it starts to look a bit whale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed we seem to be lit better in commercial breaks. But so that was a good. You got anything to say on that one, Matt?
It was the one I remember the most. The costume. I think. She's just kind of the one to beat at the moment, isn't she? She's got the personality. She's got the wit. She's got the concepts, and she's got the skills to make the concepts real. You can't really fault her at the moment. She's even her weakness, which was the Rats musical. She came to this challenge and she'd improved on it. Lawrence Chaney's the one to beat. I think it's going to be very hard to beat her at the moment. And
I think the other thing is when you very clearly got Ru on side, you're laughing. So that'll be Olivia Lux also, which I'm not seeing quite how Ru's seeing it, but that's a different video.
We have opinions.
Oh, we have opinions. We certainly have opinions. So then we come on to Ellie Diamond, who I still haven't figured out of drag who I think he looks like.
No,
it will come to me. Probably.
Wait, doesn't he looks like Scaredy Cat a little bit with a fringe?
No, do you know the thing is, it's someone I know in real life.
Oh,
somebody in my life looks like Ellie Diamond, or someone previously in my life, or something, and I cannot quite place it. But it'll come to me at 4 o'clock one morning in October. That's what happened. So here's my comment on Ellie Diamond's outfit, and it's all I've got to say, and I'll let Matt speak after me. Howard the fucking Duck.
Yes. Thank you. It is. It's something you'd expect to see in a Mighty Boosh.
Very much so. Very much. Being chased by a sandpaper man and a videotape man.
Yes, yeah. I think Graham Norton. I mean, Tom will have more of an idea of this than me, but was it drag or was it fancy dress? I kind of feel like more it's fancy dress and drag. It's just the
worst part about it is that she's got feathers on her head, but fur on her arms. And I'm not sure what birds you've seen, but I'm pretty sure most birds don't have fur for wings. But it is, I'd say the face. The face is the face is very drag, but the costume is very panto.
Yeah. And
too much panto, darling.
Well, I think who said it? I think it was either Michelle or Graham said it, and it looks like she's going to a fancy dress party.
Yeah, it was. I mean, very much so, and it kind of. I mean, I think you're right with the fur and feathers thing. I mean, it's like, don't mix spots and stripes, darling. You don't. You just don't.
But she has got a teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini.
What are you going to say, Matt?
So were they at least ostrich feathers though, or were they chicken feathers? Because apparently that's a big thing.
Was it?
Oh, they were
from
definitely.
US, wasn't it? When Joey J walked in the US and they were like, "Oh, she got chicken feathers on, not ostrich feathers."
They're definitely chicken feathers.
Right. Okay. Well, that's what working in the drive-thru comes with, I suppose.
I said I wouldn't be sure they were even chicken. I think they were probably pigeons from the car park.
They're probably the plastic synthetic things that you get in a craft shop.
She bids a hobby craft. Oh my god!
She's probably going around with the stick from McDonald's, picking up the thing. Oh, where's it? I'll take that one. Take that one. Stick it in a pocket.
Went down to the local park, covered herself in glue, rolled around by the lake, and went, and she'll take this as a mark.
Yeah.
Oh, poor old Ellie. There we are taking the piss. She was made homeless during lockdown.
Oh, well, now I feel shit.
Yeah,
I'm joking, really.
She's now got her own place.
Yeah, but it means that she moved out. She got her own place. That is her own place, and she no longer lives with her family. So actually, it all worked out much better. They had a very happy ending, and then she went down the park, covered herself in glue, rolled around duck feathers.
Yes.
Because she's now got the free time to do it. Because she had no other work during lockdown.
Yeah, because Scotland had really harsh rules imposed by Jimmy Cranky.
Also, looking at it, why didn't she do something with her hands? They're the only human part on her body that is not covered with anything.
I didn't clock the hands, to be honest.
Yeah, her hands are just like completely bare, no nails or anything. They're just there. So yeah.
What I found funny was they complimented her for wearing heels, but she put chicken feet over them. She couldn't notice the heels. It's like, what was the point?
Well done, you wore heels that no one knew you had. Brilliant.
Yes.
Good job.
Yeah.
So then we come to, I've got to admit, somebody I have an enormous soft spot and is a bit of a favourite. And despite constantly doing wrong, can do no wrong in my eyes, and that is Tia Coffey. I just think Tia's personality is sailing past the fact that ultimately her craft skills are a bit shit. I mean, I'm terrible. I have zero skills with my hands, zero. And I could probably come up with half the outfit she's made. But this one, and the thing, okay, so an ice cream cone, I get it. And it was one of those very modern ice cream cones that was flat on the bottom. I'm like, you're a whole person. Do a whole cone. Go to a point.
I'm not sure if Michelle read her for this, but she always reads queens for putting stuff on their waist that shouldn't be on their waist. She just looks like a blob, like a block. There's no shape. And I just hated it. It was awful.
You don't even get ice cream from the ice cream bit. Do you know what I mean? If it wasn't for the fact that I kind of worked out the bottom was meant to be one of those wafer cups that you get, rather than, in fact, it's not even an ice cream cone, is it? It's a wafer ice cream cup. If I hadn't figured out that's what that bit was, I wouldn't have got the ice cream from the top.
Well, what threw me was the fact she was wearing a cherry on top, and it's just like,
I thought it was an apple when she first came out.
It reminds me of cupcake or a cherry bakewell.
But she could have done something as simple as done some red material in it to make it look like raspberry ripple sauce or something like that, or it doesn't have to be just plain vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, but be a Neapolitan, love. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be Haagen-Dazs Belgian chocolate. Don't be Mr. Whippy.
If you have the chance, always be a Viennetta.
Or you should always be a Viennetta if it's on the table. Always.
Not being funny. And again, I'm very obviously not a drag performer, but lean into the Mr. Whippy. You could have done some like glorious like wigs with some of like the like a retro beehive type style.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, spiraling off.
And then I just don't think. Sorry, go on. I just don't think she has the skills for that type of hair or the money, to be fair.
No, but again, once you've got the ice cream, it's you saying about the put the raspberry coulis on it or whatever. And I've just gone, well, actually, you're a drag queen. Glitter sprinkles.
She didn't see. I'm sure there was like some lines or something. Looked like there was some sparkle on it.
Oh, I just thought it was stitching to look bad. No.
Oh right, maybe it was that. Maybe it's just stitching. I don't know.
Do you know what it looks like? Do you know when you come down from upstairs in your blanket and you've just chucked it over your shoulders, and then she sort of got a bauble or something and scrunched it up and then packed it in on itself. That's the top. But yeah, I don't know. And the bottom half is obviously what do you call them? A throw. Do you know the thing you put on the end of the bed?
Yes, yeah.
That's just wrapped around her waist, so it just looks like she's come from
There
bed.
we go.
One of those.
Oh my god, it's Tia Coffey.
I do love her though. I have got a soft spot for her, like you say. She comes across as a really nice person.
I feel like she's Miss Congeniality, definitely.
Yeah,
if they did it in the UK, yeah, definitely.
and I think she's a natural, a very British natural comedy queen as well, because again, she came across really well in the Queens on Lockdown show, and she's another one I think that kind of is quite emotionally mature, because obviously, she talks about, again, her struggles with like mental health stuff through the lockdown, and basically it's just like, I've cried a lot, and it's basically, that's fine. Crying it's healthy, it's good, it's an emotional release. This is someone that I would like to see more of. I think just generally, I don't think she's going to win Drag Race UK. I'd much as I'd love her to, because I think she's got all of the right sort of skills and attitudes and approaches to be a drag ambassador. But I think she's got a good career ahead of her in whatever she ends up doing, because she's just.
Yes. So, sister, and a cone of chips.
The cone of shame.
The cone of shame.
We've gone dark again.
We have gone darker. It's fucking ABBA. We've gone dark because of ABBA. Who ever knew that could be a thing?
Just before we start, can I say for this costume?
Yeah.
The one word I can think about it is, she had like the ketchup on the side, like stuck to it.
Yeah.
I just got prolapse.
Which is ironic, considering what Tamika's been through on the US version.
Yeah.
Well, I can't lie. When she first came out, I obviously got the cone of chips thing, but I did genuinely think it was mixed with some sort of tribute to Carrie.
Right.
Because the ketchup at the bottom was so big and globulous and bulbous that it was somewhere between the bucket of pig's blood and an abortion gone wrong. It was horrid.
Yes.
It was hateful. And it wasn't even her original idea. So when it was then mentioned that she originally had Pamela Anderson Baywatch costume, went away for lockdown and magically came back with a cone of chips after seeing someone else had a cone of chips. And granted, I can see that she intentionally tried to make hers different. But oh my God, why would you even try and be the same as someone else?
Yeah, who's proven to be a better tailor.
Yeah,
Seamstress.
I just...
Okay. Go on. If you go.
It's literally, I cannot get my head round. I can't even begin to work out. I mean, to be fair, in my previous career as a radio creative, I used to get it a lot. Oh, great, now we've gone dark blue. It was let's put it right. Yeah, but then people get seen. I don't like people seeing it. So oh, there we go. Thank you, mrspecs.co.uk. But it was always we want to do an ad like the M&S ads. That was the most popular one. And I say to them, why? Because then everyone's just going to go and buy the product from M&S. Why do you want to sound like someone else? Be your own brand. Grow up.
So looking at the pigeon or whatever she got on her head.
Oh yeah.
So
It makes me a signal.
when I think of seaside, I think of like seagulls diving in on your chips. So no one steal this idea. Anybody watching, no one steal it because it is mine. Basically, can you remember when Acid Betty did the birds coming out of the belly?
Yeah.
I would have had like a big collar with the birds like swooping and then holding a bag of chips. But then it would be like the birds were swooping in on the chips. And I would have made it big and beautiful. But
we've had who recently had behind them, and I can't think if it was UK or US. Oh shit! But it was basically like a big, like those flags you see at like Fates or on the side of Carnival floats.
Oh, I know the one you mean now.
So if you imagine it like a very long bendy pole with material on it. So just take the bendy pole, put the seagulls on it. So as you walk, they're coming down and going for your chips.
Is it Simone?
I think it was Simone for something. Yes. So no, exactly. And the thing is, Tom, you've nailed that as a better look. But also, then wouldn't matter. You had a second cone of chips walking down the runway because it's so different.
Yeah.
Well, you've basically made it that your outfit isn't the cone of chips. Your outfit is what's happening to the cone of chips.
Yeah, you're telling a story.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, how often do the judges love a bloody story in a costume?
Yeah, RuPaul probably would have fought Tippi Hedren from Birds and gone in all on that.
Absolutely, yeah.
The thing is as well, that bird does not match the proportion of the bag of chips. So
it would have been 20 feet wide.
Yeah, like it just looks like she's just gone, oh, seagulls, go for my chips. Chuckle on my head.
Surprised you come out of Ellie Diamond stuck on the shoulders.
Just come out.
Yeah.
As a leftover from all the glue on her face, smiling around the park in the feathers.
That's where she got the feathers from.
And the chips.
Flapping her fur wings.
Pointing at the heels.
They're kicking them up. Oh, shit the bed. That's hilarious. Just why, sister? Why? With your new teeth? Why?
And new eyebrows.
Yeah.
I will say she looks worse than she did before.
For me, I don't think she goes for the right haircut for the shape of her head. It's the best way I can describe it.
It's like 2 haircuts though.
Yeah. Is it like 2 bad wigs? Is that what's going on there?
I think what she did is she saw Bimini and then she saw Ginny and been like, I want that, but normal.
So what we're saying is largely she bases everything that she does in her looks on other people.
Yeah, and then too many watching of Bexy Midnight Runners videos.
Yeah. So it's fair to say nobody here is a fan of Sister Sister this week.
Or most weeks, to be honest.
She's kind of just fading into the middle. Bottom middle. She's not done anything yet to make me think she could win it. No,
I think that's a very fair assumption. And so that only then leaves us returnee Joe Black.
Yes. And speaking of outfits that tell stories.
Well, the thing is, Joe Black walked around that corner and I was howling. And the weird thing is, in my head, I could kind of see and feel the wind she was walking against. And it told a story and it was performed and it was glorious. There was no way, I don't understand. Okay, so the challenge, Joe possibly wasn't the strongest, but other people get redemption off the back of a strong runway. Why didn't Joe?
This was my favorite look of the week. I'm obsessed with it. It does tell a story, and it's just loads of people have done Blown by the Wind, but this is sort of like a really good British spin on, Blown Away.
We've all done that. We've all done that. Walk along the promenade where the bloody sea looks so rough that any minute now it's going to snatch you. And you are grabbing whatever your food is because the seagulls are coming, or Ellie Diamond's going to fall on your head, and then do you know what I mean? And it's over here, and then you get a mouthful of salt, and it's not from your chips. And that sounded terrible. I didn't mean that quite. Anyway, I meant the sea. But it's also that whole thing is actually we all kind of love it because we're British and it's what we bloody do. And I've said this for years. I know Matt and I have had this conversation when Matt lived in my house. There's a thing, and it's definitely a real thing, but chips taste better if you're eating them walking on the seafront in any weather. It could be the snow we had yesterday, and you will still enjoy your cone of chips more walking on the seafront than walking through, I don't know, whatever city centre you live in. It's just a thing. And Joe encapsulated it brilliantly, put it across. Because we even said, didn't we? As much as Ru and Michelle are big Anglophiles, they're ultimately still Americans. Did they really get it? I mean, did they really get it?
Well, this is what I spoke to you about before when it came back to last year. Do you remember when Bag of Chips, they had to do the water challenge?
Yeah.
And Michelle had this big thing because she did sausage supper or something.
Yeah.
But now we would be British all know sausage supper is a chippy.
Yeah.
But Michelle was going, well, why don't you make it a chippy dinner? And then Cheryl Cole was saying, well, I get it because that's what she was going for. There's you can be big Anglophile, but there's still going to be a disconnect with certain things which maybe aren't typically British, but aren't sort of raised up as being British.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Did she do chippy tea?
It was something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that if I remember rightly, I think, or what I perceive the disconnect to be was Michelle. We think of chippy tea as in it's tea time, so we're having a chippy tea. Whereas Michelle thought of a chippy tea.
Right.
In my head, that was the disconnect. I might be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Talking about them being wherever you said
Anglophiles.
Yeah. Basically, they did the same for Joe's look in the first episode as well with the David Bowie, and he was just in just the common British Bowie that we know, and then they didn't get it. They wanted something different, which was more Americanized. But but it's like they don't see the British side, even though they're in Britain, seeing British drag.
Yeah, I think they've both spent a lot of time here over the years, because Michelle could go back in time and be born British. I think she would. And Ru's had a house over here, I think, since Supermodel made him an absolute fuckload of money. So they've both spent their time here, and they both. It's better than if I don't know. I can't think of her name. Okay, so if they brought Carson with them, for example, or Ross Matthews, they would be miles out on understanding how we work, which is probably why they haven't done that. But I just think there is something that, unless you've properly lived and breathed it for a while, I think there's something you just can't quite get.
Which is the same, I think, something that probably I felt as a viewer watching some of the US episodes where the judges are clicking, and I'm just like, I have no idea what they're talking about, or I didn't get that until they actually then explain it, and it's just like, oh, now I get it.
Brilliant example, All Stars 1, I think, 1 or 2. They had Mama on from Mama's House. I had no idea what that was when I watched that one. It must be All Stars 1 because they were in the pairs, and it was Latrice and Manila. Manila did Madonna, and they did the whole joke floor thing. I've since gone away and looked it all up and know a bit more. I've still never seen it, but I know a bit more about it now. So it was like a spin-off from the Carol Burnett show, yada, 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 yada. So it would be a bit like if they had Catherine Tate on as a judge and had all the queens be in a sketch with Lauren or Nan. It was kind of, that was the equivalent. But of course, over here, we all just went, who? What? I just think it's...
All right, so there's a question I've got for Tom now, though.
Ooh.
It's about the big controversy of the week, about Ru going off and Joe Black about H&M, the H&M dress. So I want to know what Tom thinks about that.
Firstly, what's her name? The other one who was from London, dancing and everything. Yeah, she had a coat from ASOS, and why didn't Ru attack her for that? And
she didn't admit it. That's why.
Exactly. But H&M dress, obviously, clothes have got to come from somewhere, but jazz it up, make it your own. But Joe did actually just wear the dress with a black belt. There's nothing changed about it. So I see where RuPaul's coming from, but I bet you that if you look at the base garments that all the girls wear, US and UK, there's going to be some sort of off the rail outfit there that they've jazzed up and added to. So yeah.
Oh, I think we've seen plenty over the years. I think there's been it's fun. I think the unfortunate thing for Joe was that is where Michelle, being a bit more of an Anglophile, did go against her, because she was able to name drop Primark, however you want to say it.
Armani.
Yeah, and And so Joe, thinking he was playing along and having a bit of banter, went, "Oh, actually H&M." And of course, H&M is a global brand, so Ru knows what H&M is. And it was, "But are you fucking serious? You've turned up on my stage just for something you bought in Argos." Do you know what I mean? And I think that was Ru's problem with it. Exactly as Tom said, you've just gone and bought something and walked out on the stage in it.
Ru got roasted this week on social media for that. I don't know if you saw it or not. A lot of people have sort of had a go at her for saying these queens have just been locked down for 7 months. They've not been able to make any money. You don't have a right at this point to have a go at them for having to buy something off the rack.
Mm.
Some people have been having an absolute go at it for that. So just wanted to know what Tom's thought was on that. And
I know Aquaria did take a dig at RuPaul on Twitter, and it was something to do with the anniversary of Born This Way and H&M. So it's like, if you can't love him, no, what's the
Capital
what is the
H-I-M.
word?
Yeah.
But it was capital H and M.
That is quite clever.
But then a lot of people have also been posting the picture of RuPaul from when she was on The Weakest Link US.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that picture when she's got like a green dress on and a very thin blonde wig and not the best makeup, it appears.
Oh, we all know Ru can't do her own makeup.
No. Well, interestingly, when she visited the workroom in this episode, she appeared to have no makeup at all, which I think is the first.
She's confident now. She's had all the work she needs done. We all know why she had that face kini on last year. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
It was holding in all the stitches and all the swelling.
Go back and watch the videos for Love Shack and find Ru in that, and the videos for things like Supermodel and Back to My Roots. And Ru's face is quite different. Noticeably the eyes, I always think. Ru had much bigger, rounder eyes back in the day.
If you look at the first season of Drag Race US, you can see how much work she's had done, because of, in the first ever episode, she looks like a man in a wig. And now she looks like a supermodel with the body and everything. But it just goes to show, when people have money, they can get what they want done and they can look how they need to.
We think that brings up an interesting point, actually, because Ru was reading Joe. I think that what you've been saying there, Matt, about sort of like these queens have just had 7 months on fucking universal credit. They probably haven't got an awful lot of money to do stuff with. But you know, so Ru pulled Joe apart for that and lost her shit completely. And you know, you watch the other judges sort of go, ooh.
To be fair, there was a bit in the same episode, I think 5 minutes afterwards, where I think Ru does kind of realise she's obviously gone a bit too far then, and does the whole, someone may also have just spent a week in like complete isolation or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So clearly she was renting. Still doesn't necessarily excuse it,
However,
but explains it.
10 minutes before or whatever, I think Tia Coffey made some sort of quip about wanting to look like Ru, and Ru says, "Well, you know, when you've got a team of 50 people behind you, you will look like this." We've got a cat about to jump up. You know, when it's a team of 50 people, this could go wrong. This is how you can look like me. Well, clearly, then if you've got a team of 50 people, great. Your queens trying to work this stuff on the runway haven't got a team of 50 people, or they have, but they're all cameramen who aren't going to get involved. So yeah, it's a little bit do as I do, not do as I say.
Yeah.
I know
towards I said that wrong.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. Towards the end of last season, I heard a couple of rumours that Raven was actually doing Ru's makeup.
Yeah.
Because she had a falling out with the original makeup artist. And the reason why she was wearing face kinis is because she couldn't find a makeup artist that would actually go to her home in the middle of a lockdown.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. But if you're going to start out in drag, at least know how to put on your own face without getting someone else to do it for you.
or just just come out bare, because there's been plenty of female bare challenges on social media and whatever else, Dare to be Bare, and raising all kinds of awareness for skin cancers and sort of other sort of body issues or whatever it may be. And what I do think is the basic concept of Drag Race in the beginning was find the next drag supermodel of the world, because obviously Ru was Supermodel of the World. That was the album, that was the single was so it was all based around that as a concept, on the lines of, at that point Ru had been a world famous drag supermodel for 20 years and had earned her place to just sit back and go, right bitches, who's next, who can compare to this? So actually I think if you're going to stand by the actual, because that's the lights doing my head in, if you're going to stand by the actual concept, I think just have the balls to go, I earned my space, so now I can appear on camera because actually I know my shit. I don't need to do it all the time. You've now got to prove you can do it. That, to me, that's the concept and the point of Drag Race. I know we're now 13 seasons in and what have you, so maybe it's changed a lot. I always felt in the earlier days it was a lot more of a bring a ton of dresses and fabric, because we're going to sit you down on Monday and go, right, make this by Thursday. And now it's a kind of a bring a Madonna, bring a Britney, bring a cone of chips.
Although it now seems to have kind of gone back. That's a comment we were making a while back, that you had a couple of probably 5 or 6 seasons. It felt like it was just the bring an appropriate costume, and it seems like they are now walking that back, and you're back to basically needing to sew, needing to put an outfit together. Although again, courtesy of Queen's Lockdown, we know that it's not quite the Monday make these outfits by Thursday kind of setup. They do have a much longer run up now.
Well, Ellie would never be able to go and cover herself in glue in the park if she hadn't known for it.
No. She probably had time to pick all the grass and poo out of it.
Are we sure she did?
Who knows?
I've heard of yellow shit, so that could be that on her face.
Oh, well, we thought it was an itsy bitsy teeny winny yellow polka dot bikini. It was duck poo.
Yeah.
Oh, but let's talk about the lip sync and who we actually thought should have gone home.
You go first.
I love Tia Coffee, I really do, but I think her time has come now to move on a little bit and just find your own feet, do better drag.
See, as much as I thought Joe Black's runway look was very good, I actually thought at the end of this episode even less than I did when she went off for the first time. It's like she didn't really do anything. It was like it's kind of like she came back and it was her chance to come back with this huge rah, and she didn't really do that. And I don't know if it's because the type of queen she isn't maybe suited for the Drag Race competition, but like her version of the RuRuVision song and her performance kind of didn't really captivate me. I didn't feel drawn to her to watch anything. She kept kind of doing like that kind of Glenn Close thing.
Have you seen the Queens in Lockdown?
No.
There's a lot.
That was a thing until you started mentioning it a few minutes ago.
Yeah. It's worth a watch. It is good. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
And you see a lot more of Joe performing in that, and Joe is hilarious and brilliant. But very clearly, that what you were just talking about there, that is very much her stick and her style, and what he does. And that's particularly in
very much like 30s, 40s, 50s Hollywood style. I'm ready for my close up.
And she paints that brilliantly, and she wears it brilliantly, and she performs it to within an inch of its life. But I think again, that's something in performance generally, whether you're talking about drag queens, people in theatre, people in TV, it's to find. I think Paul is actually now going to give in and put the light on. I think it's very much, most of the, I mean, obviously I trained as an actor myself, but I trained as an actor, not as anything else. I did a lot of musical theatre just because all the people I was training with were big musical theatre junkies, And so that's just by default what it was. And it just became harder and harder to cast me because it all was like, well, who have we got in this show that doesn't sing or doesn't dance? Ergo, I was the wizard in the Wizard of Oz, yada yada yada. You know, but musical people do all the musicals. You know, you think of your Carrie Ellis's of the world. She does musicals. You don't think she's going to turn up in Coronation Street tomorrow. But likewise, you think of the people in soaps when they then break out and do something else. Catherine Tate, perfect example. You think of you thought of Catherine Tate purely as a out there with Victoria Wood, French and Saunders, that stable of TV comedian. She got cast in Doctor Who. The fans went absolutely batshit. Oh God, it's going to be Lauren in the TARDIS. 10 years on, she is now one of the most fondest thought of companions in Doctor Who ever. Never mind in just new Doctor Who. But that's the thing is performers generally seem to be of an ilk and a type and stick to it. And I think break that down within drag, you've got then the same. So you know, you hear it in the American one. Are you a pageant queen?
Yeah,
it's you know, and I think that's kind of where that comes apart. But that's where I think the people in Drag Race should shine, because if you are nailing more than your thing, that's when you should be winning, and that's when Gigi Goode was robbed.
Yeah, I had this conversation with a friend today because we were talking about this week's Drag Race, and I sort of said to him that I think to win Drag Race US now, it's very different to how it was 2 or 3 seasons ago. If you think from season 9, when I introduced the final, I introduced it as the lip sync competition. Yeah. You could have a fantastic run throughout the competition, like Shea Coulee did, and it comes to the lip sync, and somebody pulls a wig up, and loads of roses come out. And at that point, what you've done doesn't matter, because that is beating you for 1 second. So it was like, you look at Bianca. Is Bianca a lip sync queen? Would Bianca have been able to? Because she went through season 6, and most people thought it was Bianca's to win. And then you get to the final, and it's the chat, and they have, and then it was like at the end, Ru goes, "Oh, and the winner is Bianca." But if she'd lip synced against Courtney Act, would Bianca have got through to the last lip sync?
Well, I think that's the other thing. There is, it's again, that comes down to format for me, because as stated week in, week out, you know, Ru says the ultimate decision is mine to make. So Ru can just pick who she wants. Now, if you were to do this masked singer style, and so you give half the decision to the fans, I get that it's recorded in advance, and you know, Drag Race isn't really, even that live final is a week before we see it. You know, but so I get that the format wouldn't really work, because it's just the technical backstage side of it isn't going to happen. So I get that. I get it's not a possibility. But if you could genuinely hand some of the power over to people outside of Ru's head, I wonder what different decisions we would have seen across the years.
Well, yeah, and also, I don't know if Christian Smith watches this. If he does, he might be able to say. But I've seen him on Twitter in the past mention Drag Race Thailand, and apparently their final is the Queens put on their own show, so it plays to their strengths. They do. So Joe Black could have done what Joe Black did and based his whole performance around that, and then it's based on their show, who put the best show on. And
that's every week.
So that's the final part. So probably Drag Race Thailand. I mean, I've not seen it, but from what I understand, it's elimination. You get to the final, and there's 3 queens left, and they all go away and put on their own show, and they perform that at the end. And whoever's got the best performance, deemed to have the best performance, wins. So they can play to their strengths, and it's not stuck so much to the format of the lip sync or whatever.
Yeah.
That was basic. Go on.
No, go on.
That was basically like when Violet Chat. No, what was it? No.
Is it Bob?
No. Violet, Ginger Minge, and someone else done it, and then they did it for. I think they did it for Naomi Smalls' season as well.
They had their own lip syncs, didn't they?
Yeah, and it was sort of like it was sort of like their show in a song, basically. They got to do what they wanted out of this, but they were given a song that was chosen for them, I think.
Yeah, and then it was choreographed to them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we did that, or at least let them play to their advantage in what they do best. Like I get changing, like everybody's got to be good at something, and if you go on Drag Race, you've got to just conform to it and try and do your best in the challenge. But if you do something that's your shtick and it's like you are renowned for it, then they should be able to do that, and the judges go by their performance.
Because getting to the final, you've proven you can diversify, because you've got them through the acting stages, the design stages, the improv stages, and all the other stages. So you got to the final, and it's your chance to say, "This is what I can do."
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, Tia Coffee was right to win, and Joe Black should have gone home, which is right.
and you say I do Shakespearean monologues.
I've actually followed Joe Black for quite a while on Instagram and stuff, and he's sort of like, he does give off like theatre sort of genie vibe, but I know that he's a dark person. Like, he likes his gothic stuff, and he's really dark, and the way that he sings is actually what I consider postmodern jukebox. So he sings modern songs, but like old and sort of retro vintage.
Yeah.
Sort of 60s, that style of singing.
Marlena Dietrich does Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So I get where that's why he was like not the best in the RuRuVision challenge, because he doesn't rap and he doesn't sing like a normal person would. He sings in his own like dark vintage, so it didn't really get to go with the song. So it was sort of, he got handed the sachet away, basically. They didn't want him to stay.
I just think there was, in the weeks ahead, as much as like I said, the personality carries Tia Coffee through for me, and she can almost do no wrong. I just don't know, apart from that weird self-deprecating kind of character she has, I don't see we're going to see anything else from her. I feel we would see other stuff from Joe. That was kind of it for me. It was a tough call, and ultimately I don't think I want to see either of them go. I think there are other people I'd rather have chosen go. So
who else was it? Who was the other bottom queen? Oh, pardon.
Wasn't it Howard the Duck?
No.
Was it Sister?
I think it was Sister. Yeah.
Well, she wouldn't have been able to dance with that prolapse, would she? So
there'd have been spilt guts all over the floor.
Yeah.
I feel like they should have actually put the bottom 4 in the lip sync.
Yeah,
and let them all do it, and then choose the weakest out of that group, because they had a winning group and a losing group, so losing group should have all lip sync. Yeah,
I think that's fair. Yeah, and let's face it, there's precedent for that. It's been done before.
Yeah, that was a mess, that one though. We had 6 people lip syncing.
6 was too many. I think 4. Yeah, I think with a 4. I mean, cut something out of the rest of the episode that maybe wasn't as interesting or great, and do a 2 and a 2, and it's a winner plays the winner, or loser plays the loser, or whichever way. Yeah.
Well, they've done 4 before, because they did it season 6 before the final. They had Darian, Bianca Courtney, and Adore all lip sync together. So you can do 4 on a stage. That works. Yeah. But yeah, no more than that.
Cool. Well, that was it. I think we've been on for the better part of an hour and a quarter. So we've outlasted the episode basically. Brilliant. I wonder if people actually watch us all the way to the end, like they do the show. I haven't even given up at 40 minutes ago. Oh my God, they're still talking. What's the on about fellas in the park? So, you know, we will review this week's US drag race. I do have a couple of thoughts on that. Hopefully, it probably won't be quite as long. I know Tom's got to scoot, but I don't know if you're still around, Matt. I'll probably have to charge my phone. I think the battery's probably about to die, so you might have to give it like an hour and then record that.
All right, okay.
But if you have stuck with us through all of this, thank you for watching. I know it's a bit bonkers, and we'll see everybody very soon. And I need to work out how to stop recording now. Oh, there's a big stop button. Yay!
Technology.
Have I stopped? Has it actually stopped?
No, it's still going.